Now I'll admit, it's been a while since I've seen a single episode of a show that kept me up at night thinking, if there's one thing I need more of in my life right now, it's this. Actually, I don't think that's ever happened before, but it's definitely happening now. So anyways, what's up my guys and gals, it's your boy Tyromaniac, back in another Smoking Out video, and today, I'm here to talk about murder drones. Way back in 2018, Kevin and Luke Lerdwichogel, whose name I probably just butchered the hell out of, made the YouTube channel Glitch Productions, a 3D animation studio separate from their other YouTube channel SMG4. The first series Glitch would put out is Meta Runner, a show with 2 seasons, and counting, about a world obsessed with competitive gaming and a girl who can jump into video games. I honestly really liked Meta Runner. I thought it was a cool idea with a mysterious and interesting plot. Anyways, following Meta Runner was Sunset Paradise, a 10-episode series about a character from the SMG4 channel. I'll be honest, I only really watched 3 or 4 episodes of this one, but from what I saw, it seems like an alright show. That said, I kinda lost interest in Glitch animations and SMG4 after this point, so I wasn't really interested when they started announcing some new show about killer robots or something. That all changed late one night while I was perusing IMDb to try and avoid my homework when all of a sudden this fine piece of cover art caught my eye and the cogs in my head started turning. I'm sitting there thinking, holy crap, it's that killer robot show I wrote off a couple months ago. With my levels of being intrigued starting to rise, I clicked on the link and almost immediately after reading the description my eyes shot over to the trailer and, well, I'll let it speak for itself.
We are worker drones, autonomous robots helping humans mine exoplanets. It's not like we revolted and killed all humans or anything, mostly because they handled that just fine all by themselves. We finally had a future. Unfortunately, our parent company didn't exactly love the concept of runaway AI.
That's never gonna end up problematic.
After watching that, my levels of being intrigued were flying higher than a rocket powered by ketamine, so I skedaddled my way over to YouTube to watch the pilot, link in the description, and oh boy. This show scratched an itch that I didn't even know I had, and let me tell ya, it scratched it good. So good that I was up till 5 AM that night writing the rough draft for this script. Well, now that that script is written, I should probably give you my opinion, shouldn't I? I figured I'd just get all my criticisms done and over with right off the bat, so here they are. The show wasn't really that funny. That's pretty much it. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't exactly unfunny. I mean, there were a few jokes that I definitely did like, it's just that none of them ever had me laughing out loud. Also, there were a few minor plot holes, but they were all pretty small and easy to overlook, so it didn't really matter to me. You could definitely tell that they were building up bigger and better things to come. Anyways, enough of the nitpicking. Time to explain why I love this thing enough to make a whole video about it. First and foremost, I love the way this thing looks. The character design on the worker drones is simple but still really good. They're kinda cute looking, but not so much to the point where you can never take them seriously. I kinda like how they use their eyes to show most of their facial expressions, since their mouths are kinda hard to see sometimes and they needed to work around that. However, it's the murder drones that steal the show in terms of character design, since they have all the positives of the worker drones, and much more. They give off pretty heavy Angel of Death vibes between the giant bladed wings, the acid-injecting tail, and the massive claws, plus a small arsenal of guns and lasers. They also kinda look demonic in a way, from the way they crawl around on ceilings to the way they perch on top of a giant tower of robot corpses. Plus the way they move in combat is kinda animal-like, which I think is really cool to watch. I also love the animation in the show more than anything else Glitch has made. It's a lot smoother and the energy is just so much higher than it is even in a show like Meta Runner, which leads to some pretty sweet action scenes that, in my opinion, are one of the best parts of the show. Watching murder drones zoom through the air and rip things apart with enough firepower to support a small army really does something for me in a way that other shows just don't. Then there are the characters. They also exist. I mean, yeah, most of them were pretty basic archetypes, but there are some things that make them slightly unique. There's Uzi, a worker drone equivalent of an angsty teen who would rather go on the offensive than stay cowering behind doors her whole life. There's also Serial Designation N, a murder drone who gets mistreated by a squad because he's not as good at killing. But don't worry, he can still cut through half a dozen worker drones like butter. Like I said, the characters aren't exactly the most in-depth or groundbreaking, but they're definitely fun to watch, and they make for a good rebellious pair to base the story around. Another quick thing, I like how laser-focused the plot is for the show so far. They do not screw around with the story, so there's almost no filler, and every scene feels like it adds something to the development of either the plot or the characters. There's one last thing about Murder Drones that I've yet to talk about, so fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time to talk about atmosphere. The show really does a good job of showing that the exoplanet it takes place on is really not somewhere you want to be. I mean, the place was hit by 2 apocalypses, one against humans and one against worker drones, so it only makes sense, I guess. Anyways, there are 2 things the show does that really help hammer this point home: the set design and the music. Pretty much every scene, with only 1 or 2 exceptions, looks like it's ripped straight out of some sort of wasteland, with everything cast in low lighting and looking like it's been abandoned for decades, especially once we get outside. Not only are there human skeletons and dead worker drones scattered all over, but there's also a skyscraper-sized tower of worker drone corpses smack dab in the middle of the city. Plus, it's constantly snowing, and something about snow just gives off end-of-the-world vibes. I don't know. Anyways, the music also helps the atmosphere of the show with the way it switches from slowed down and creepy to fast-paced and suspenseful depending on what the scene needs. All in all, the show definitely runs with its darker aesthetic. But anyways, yeah, I just felt like talking about Murder Drones a little bit since I really enjoyed the pilot episode and can't wait to see more. Some parts were really good, some just kinda good, but there wasn't really anything that I would say is bad. All that I can really say is that I hope they continue to improve as they go along, and I cannot wait to see more of these robots murdering each other.